What's up, baby? We are live, live, live. Yeah, let's do the circle. All right, let's see here. Please. That was not gonna let me.
She was talking shit about Mexicans.
It's not gonna let me do it. Whack. All right, what's going on, everybody? We are live, live, live. Thank you for being here. I figure it would be prudent for me to, I guess, once again go over my recommended curriculum for getting started with occultism and magic. I get a lot of messages here on TikTok. I get a lot of emails in my website, comments on my YouTube videos. People want to know how to get started. Even though I have videos with recommendations for people to study from, I guess they don't watch those, and they want to know how to get started with practicing occultism. So I figure it would be prudent for me to go over that again during another live stream. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Hey, Power of the Occult, welcome. Glad to have you. Welcome, Aldrichi. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Let me put this in the Discord. 1 second here. All right. Put that out on TikTok. I mean, on Discord. So, but yeah, I think that would be the best thing for us to do this evening is to go over my general curriculum, because I keep getting emails and comments and things about it. So I figure the best thing would be to go over it. Hey, Modern Magecraft, welcome, welcome. Hey, Mate Shicky, glad to have you. Glad to have you. Mr. French, ça va ce soir? What's going on? Glad to have you. All right. So before we even get started with my curriculum, I think it would be a good idea to read an excerpt from Daniel Mohler's Shamanic Kabbalah. There's a passage in chapter 9. Let me find it here. There's a passage in chapter 9 that I came across. And it talks about the importance of developing a solid foundation before you start your occult practice, before you begin magic. Just give me 1 second to find it here. And then we'll get started with my curriculum. I think it should be right around here. Yeah, okay, here it is. All right, so I'm going to read the second paragraph through the fourth paragraph. This is Shamanic Kabbalah by Daniel Mohler. We're going to be in chapter 9, which is page 119. We're going to be doing paragraphs 2 through 4. And again, this is about the importance of developing a solid foundation before beginning your occult practice. So it states, this is why it is very important to follow a ritual process of some sort. These ceremonies have been designed to facilitate an efficient use of certain symbols and motions within the subconscious, opening the appropriate doorways of access to the intelligences associated with the tree and its machinations. Now, in this case, it's talking about a Kabbalistic practice, but we can remove Kabbalah and insert any practice, whether it's Chaosophy, Tradcraft, ceremonial magic, Wicca, some Eastern practice, Hindu, yoga, Javanese magic, whatever. All of it would follow the same sort of logic here. So as our master teacher, Dion Fortune, says, It is well known to mystics that if a man meditates upon a symbol around which certain ideas have been associated by past meditation or practice, he will obtain access to those ideas, even if the glyph or symbol has never been elucidated to him by those who have received the oral tradition by mouth to ear. And this is found on page 96 of Diane Fortune's Mystical Kabbalah. That's found on page 96 of her Mystical Kabbalah, which I don't agree with everything in that book, but I certainly do agree with the foundation building. Why won't this go in this slot? Go back in there. There we go. Jeez. All right. Okay. Furthermore, these ceremonies have evolved. As evolution progresses, the dross burns away. What no longer works finds its place in obscurity, and the new, more effective methods grow into pristine channels of reception. Diane Fortune herself was no slave to tradition for tradition's sake, especially if stymied by the evolution of a system. When I was majoring in art studio for my undergraduate degree, the professors expressed time and time again that for now, learn the basics, learn the rules, learn from the masters that came before. Then, when the foundation is set, take off from there and you can be creative. Take what they did and deconstruct it, bend it to your own will, and make it work for you. In essence, experiment. But you can only do that by truly learning the system first. So this is why it is tantamount that you build a solid foundation before beginning to practice, and your practice should be rooted in something that came before. It doesn't have to be exactly what I'm doing or exactly what I practice, but there should be some sort of precedent for what you're doing, and you should be able to explain to someone who's asking. And just because someone asks you a question about your practice doesn't mean that they're some asshole skeptic. Some people might genuinely be curious about what you're doing. And so you can't always just respond with do your own research. Sometimes it's prudent to tell people, and be able to elucidate on your own practice, especially if you truly believe that what you're doing is valid in any sort of way. You should have no issue with elucidating on that practice. But it's when you dip and dodge that, people tend to have a problem. But this is precisely why it is important that a foundation is built before you begin your own practical work, and that foundation should be built on something that came before and can be repeated. The repeatability. Hence, when Diane Fortune mentions if a mystic meditates or practices a certain system or practice that has been done before, they will gain access to the exact same whatever that system is after, that those people who did it before were after. And then you'll be able to continue that and push that on into the future. So this is why it is germane to having a solid foundation in your practice. Before any work is done, one should set up a solid foundation. So with that said, we can move into my how do I want to say this? My curriculum, if you will, for getting started with the occult. So I've went over this before, but people still send me emails and leave comments under my videos asking how to get started with this stuff. Even though I say, go watch this video, go watch that video, they don't seem to do it. They come back and ask, how do I get started? How do I get started? So we're going to do this again. We're going to go through this, these 5 steps, I guess you will, again. So, and that's fine. I don't mind. People are always going to be new and, are always going to, want to know how to take, whatever practice that they're doing further. So I don't mind repeating and going over things. So the first thing that I believe, in my opinion, that every occultist or practitioner of the occult art should do before anything and everything is learn energy manipulation. This is the basis of all successful spell work. This is not a movie. This is not a TV show. The magic is not in the words. The magic is not in the grimoires. The magic is not in the tracing of the lesser banishing ritual symbols in the air. Those things have some power behind them, sure, but they certainly will not cause any sort of effects that you're looking for if you were to have done energy manipulation. For any magic, whether you're coming from chaos, whether you're coming from Voodoo, well, maybe not the spirit-led systems. Although to get in touch with the spirit, you would still need to do what I'm saying here. But the actual work would be done by the spirit. So then what I'm saying for the work would be null and void. But for the getting in touch with the spirit, it would be the same. So for virtually all systems of occultism, without the manipulation of energy, which is the raising, the directing, and the releasing of energy to accomplish a goal, without that, you will not find success in occultism. That's the battery. That is what gives magic its power, or its force to go out into the universe to accomplish your goal. It's that raising, directing, and releasing of energy, aka manipulation of energy to accomplish a goal. That raising of energy can be done in a variety of ways. It can be as simple as meditation and visualization if you are skilled enough. You could do things like ritual dancing, ritual drumming. A lot of ATRs and ADRs do those. You can do mantras. I know a lot of necrosophic systems love to use rosary beads that are dedicated to Holy Death. Behind me, Santa Muerte. They'll use rosary beads dedicated to her. They'll be, I don't know, 90, 130, something like that beads, and they'll say a certain mantra as they count each bead, and that's supposed to help them raise energy. I myself like to vibrate sacred names or intone sacred names to raise my energy. I do what the grimoires state. I inflame myself with prayer in order to raise energy. There's a various amount of ways that a practitioner can go about raising energy. And then you're supposed to take that energy that you raised and you're supposed to direct it in ritual or spell work to whatever goal, whatever your desired result is, whether it's a new job or a new lover, or you want to move across country, or whatever the goal is. You're supposed to direct that energy towards that goal. And then you're supposed to release the energy out into the universe in order to start doing the work to getting your goal done. This does not count for spirit work, because the spirits are the ones who you raise the energy, and so you get the spirit present, but then usually the directing and the releasing of that energy would be with the spirit. So for spirit-led systems, most of this isn't valid. But for the more sorcerous, for the more folk-led systems where you are the conduit, you're the source of power, even if you are invoking spirits for assistance, if it's not a spirit-led system, that wouldn't be the case. But once you have the direction of whatever the spell is supposed to go, then you would release it out into the universe in order to get done. So without the manipulation of energy, you don't have a spell, you don't have a ritual, you have nothing more than what I would call dead prayer. You're trying to petition a spirit or a god, or you're trying to send energy out into the universe, and nothing is happening. But that's because you didn't raise any sort of energy. You didn't put any intent into that energy to direct it anywhere, and you didn't release that energy out into the universe to get done. So step one, hope you're writing this down, or hope you got the screen record on. Step one is energy manipulation. That is step one. Any advice on astral projection? I have a video on astral projection, but this live stream, for right now, we're going to focus on the 5 steps that I have set up as the best, in my opinion, way to approach occultism from a beginner's point of view. Daniel Rodriguez, wrong. What's wrong, Daniel Rodriguez? Would you be able to elaborate instead of just making a statement? Can you elaborate? But yeah, so that's step one, energy manipulation. Now, before I go any further, the way that I have these steps set up is that each of them build on each other. Maybe not right away. Like, so for example, step 2 doesn't become important until you get to step 4. So you're kind of learning step 2 a little early, but by the time you get to step 4, you'll be happy that you learned step 2 during step 2. So that way you're not scrambling and running around trying to do things. So the way that I do things is it tends to build, because that's how I learned. And I got lucky. Most people won't get lucky. Most of you will not get lucky like I did, and you won't have a coven or an order or a grove or, whatever, a circle or whatever teaching you like I had. You'll have to learn from books or video courses or seminars or whatever. So step two to step four, I don't know how to put it any other way other than that's just the way that I learned it. So step two would be occult correspondences, right? Learning about the occult correspondences. Right after energy manipulation, it might not seem, logical why you would go from the manipulation of forces and then move right into correspondences. But once you get to step four, you'll be happy that you learned it now instead of waiting until step four to do so. So with the occult correspondences, you should be learning things like the daily correspondences, the planetary correspondences, the elemental correspondences. And it's not required at this stage, but if you wanted to, things like tarot correspondences or Kabbalistic correspondences. Although some of that stuff you might learn just anyway. But I know I'm forgetting one important one, herbal correspondences. And that would also include things like roots and minerals and even stones, crystals, gems, things like that. I categorize that all under the same category. You want to learn those things. And the reason will become more apparent in step four, but you want to have a good handle on, what, I don't know, Monday represents, the significance and the energies that are in effect on Monday and the energies that are in effect during certain hours of Monday. What planet, happens to, be in effect and in power on Monday, how you can determine the element that's in power during that day and how those things can give your spell or your ritual a boost. Or what's a as above so below way to explain this? Video games is a good way to explain this. If you play video games, or your brother or your boyfriend or a best friend or a girlfriend or whatever, somebody plays games, you may be familiar with like perks for your character, right? Little boosters that don't guarantee that you win the game. They don't guarantee that you're going to win, but they give you an edge over your opponent who may or may not have a perk themselves. Or they might have an alternative perk that might offset your perk or whatever. But there's something that you can get in the game, a potion, a shield, I don't know, whatever game you're playing, you get something, a syringe, and you shoot it up, and then now you have now you're supercharged, whatever it is. There's something in the game that gives you an added bonus to help you be a little better in the game. Well, in occultism, those things are the correspondences. They're not required. There's no requirement that you should do your love spell on a Friday under the hour of Venus, with rose quartz and carnelians and all these different. There's no requirement for that, but those things will boost your spell. They will add an extra bit of oomph. Each little correspondence that you use, what will add oomph to your spell. Why? Because of something called sympathy. If we understand how do I want to say this? I guess quantum physics and, vibration and how everything vibrates and everything, whether it's animate or inanimate. So whether it's living or not, everything has atoms, and those atoms are moving either really, really fast, so we can tell that they're moving and they're vibrating at a certain frequency, or they're moving really, really slow. Hey, what's up, boy? Are you okay? You got to go potty? Okay, hold on. I think my dog has to go out. 1 second. You gotta go potty? Cool. Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to let my dog out. But yeah, so this is because of something called sympathy. So what happens is, everything vibrates at, whatever frequency they vibrate. Either they're moving really, really fast so we can tell, or they're moving really, really slow so we can't tell, but there's still a vibrational force there. Now, we attribute certain frequencies to certain things, love, money, wealth, emotion, and certain natural things within our natural world vibrate at certain frequencies that are associated with certain things. So, as I was mentioning earlier, for example, under Venus, rose quartz vibrates at the frequency of love and acceptance and, that sort of thing. So, you would use these things in your ritual work so that way their vibrations, their sympathies can interact with your sympathy of wanting to get more love or get a better job or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. And you put that out into the universe in order to get it back. So, step 2 is occult correspondences. Learning these things will help you. And I'll get deep. I'll go a bit deeper into the why it helps once we get to step 4. But just understand that by the time you get to step 4, you'll be extremely happy that you learned this now in step 2 rather than waiting until you got to step 4. Let me see what's going on in the chat here. Shadow Wizard Money Gang. Can you see them? It's like sand flowing in the wind, like the smoke off an incense. Can I see who or what? What do you mean? Can I see what? Let me scroll up. Maybe you already said something here. We don't play games in real life. Yeah, I'm not sure. Reserval. What do you mean? Can we see them? And then maybe I can give a better answer. Let me move this down so we can see the whole thing. Okay. All right. So after you learn energy manipulation for step 1, so we're going to do a little recap. Then step 2, you move on to the occult correspondences, right? Okay. Step 3 is, in my opinion, the next step would be to learn divination or some form of fortune telling, although I don't like calling it that. I prefer divination. So learn divination and open your third eye. Now, I combine those two. Most schools or most curriculums or most traditions or whatever you want to say, Sorry, I just want to make sure my dog is not at the door. All right. They separate the two, right? So they'll tell you to spend time opening your third eye, 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long it takes you. Everyone's different. Some people can open their third eye in 3 months worth of study and practice. Other people might take 6 months. Other people might take a year. Some people might take longer. It just depends on you, how dedicated you are to the practice, how often you're doing exercises, blah, blah, blah. So, and then after that, so after you spent, let's just say an average of 6 months. Let's say you spent 6 months opening your third eye. Then they're going to tell you to spend another 6 months learning a system of divination. So whether that's tarot, Owam, runes, bones, cowrie shells, oneromancy, palmistry, whatever one you want to learn, they'll tell you then to spend 6 months doing that. I believe you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I believe that most, if not all, of spirituality, legitimate spirituality, and occultism, esotericism, and things like that is a muscle. The more you work the muscle, the stronger it gets, whether it wants to or not. So there's no opening your third eye. I believe everyone's third eye is already open. It's just, is it active or not, right? So in my opinion, just work the third eye. There's no need to first open your third eye and then learn a system of divination. You can learn a system and also open your third eye at the same time, because as you do any form of divination, you're working that muscle. It's going to force your third eye open. So rather than taking 6 months to learn how to open your third eye and then 6 months learning how to read cards, just take 6 months in total, learn how to read cards while at the same time opening your third eye. Because that's what's going to happen. Your third eye is going to be forced open as you do divination. So just pick whatever form or whatever system you're interested in. You might have to Google divination methods or practices or something like that and find some website that talks about 10 or 12 or 20 of them or whatever, and then pick 3 and then open up 3 tabs, and then in each tab, Google each of those practices. Maybe go to Amazon, buy a book or 2 on those practices, get familiar with those practices, and then start doing them. And that will force your third eye open. Not tomorrow. No, it's not going to be you read 1 tarot reading and then your third eye's in now you see all the spirit. No. Anything that's worth doing takes time. Magic is no different. This isn't TV. This isn't a movie. This isn't Marvel or DC or Shadowhunters or Sabrina or, The Magicians or any of that. This is real life. We are human beings bound by the laws of physics and all that. So you have to practice at this, just like you have to practice at anything else. You have to practice at this. So yes, it might take you a few tries, more than a few tries. It might take you the 6 months. It might take you a year before your third eye is open, before you are efficient, before you're up to par. But sometimes that's what it takes. So for this one, step 3, in my opinion, there's no need to separate opening your third eye and then learning a system of divination. You can do them at the same time. Find a system of divination that appeals to you and start studying it and then practicing it. And as you practice it, I believe in daily practice, but I understand that not everybody lives the same kind of life that I do. Some people, I don't have kids, so I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. and get anybody ready to go to school. And then I got to go to work. So I don't have time. I have time in the morning to do things. So for me, a daily practice is 100% feasible. I don't have any excuse not to do a daily practice, but other people don't. Some people might not have kids, but you got school in the morning, you got work at night, So I get it. As often as you can, try to fit some sort of divinatory exercise into your daily routine or weekly routine or something to get more efficient, to work that third eye, to get it open. Because without having your third eye open, divination is not going to be a thing for you. Talking to spirits is not going to be a thing for you. Energy manipulation will be kind of hard because your third eye is needed to sense subtle energy shifts and things like that. So you'll definitely need your third eye open. Also, I don't understand why it's not. It should be common practice in the West. Well, I can't say that because Africa, when it comes to philosophy, is considered Western. So maybe that's not the right thing to say. In American and a lot of European systems of magic, I don't see many authors and many luminaries, many noted people who people follow after, recommending that you do a divination before any and all practices. Not to say that nobody is saying it. I'm sure there is someone out there saying it. Jason Miller is one of the people saying it, but he's one of the only ones that I know of. I'm sure there might be 2 or 3 other people out there, but I don't know of anybody other than Miller who is saying that you should be doing a divination before every single working, especially if that working is a material working. And by material, I don't mean that you're getting something. I mean, it's not spiritual. So you're whether it's a curse or a love spell or whatever, that would be considered material. You should be doing a divination. Why? So that way you can find out if there's going to be any roadblocks, anything going to be hindering your work, your progress. If you're trying to curse somebody and that person has a grandmother who is a hoodoo woman and she's putting protection spells on this person, you would want to know that. So that way you can get around the protection magic. You'd want to know that. You would want to know if you're trying to get a new job and you're doing a spell for it, you would want to know if there's going to be any roadblocks in you getting that position. Maybe there are people who apply for the job that are family members of the hiring manager or of someone in HR. And so you might not be, all your credentials and all your degrees don't matter when nepotism is involved. So, you want to know these things. So it's best to be prepared. So, combine the two. You can open your third eye and learn a divination system at the same time. Before we move on, I'm going to go see if my dog is ready to come in so he doesn't freeze. So 1 second. You want to stay here with me? Go ahead, go there. Go ahead, get here. You want to chill with me? I can't play though. I have to be live, so I can't play with you. All right, sorry. Let's see what's going on in the chat before we. How do you open your third eye? Either you're trolling or you really just missed it because I literally just spent like 15 minutes explaining it. Definitely in tradition, African spirituality, that is standard operating procedure. Yes, it is. They like, I don't understand why it's not when it comes to American and Europeans, because that was one of the first thing I learned when I was learning hoodoo was like you should be doing a reading before every single thing that you do. And hoodoo is like is an ADR. It's not even an ATR. So if hoodoo does it, and that's part of the diaspora, you better believe the traditionalists do it. So, excuse me. Is there a website you recommend? What do you like for learning magic? No, not really. Maybe Josephine McCarthy and her Quaria. That's pretty cool. But outside of that, no. I mean, there's a lot of good authors and good luminaries and figures within the occult world that have websites where they offer courses and things like that. And those are, they're good teachers, and I like their books and things like that. So, but I mean, the information isn't on their website. It's in the private Zoom call that you have to buy or something like that. So that doesn't count. Quaria would be the only good website to learn like occultism. There are other like forums and stuff. Like Wizard Forums is pretty good for beginners. If you're an intermediate or advanced practitioner, Studio Arcanist is pretty good. But outside of that, no. I can give you websites for resources, but to learn magic, Quaria would be the only one that I can think of. Make sure to be clear that for ritual work you need an elder to initiate you first. Yes, if you're in any of the ATRs or the ADRs, yes. In modern day occultism, most people don't practice a system that would require any sort of initiatic experience or licencia. Most people, come from like a modern witchcraft or like a chaosophic perspective. So there's not really initiation required in those sorts of systems. But yes, if you're practicing any of the ATRs or the ADRs or anything like that, they certainly do. Oh, you missed it? Okay, yeah. Essentially, just do divination. That's literally my advice. I'm not going to tell you to go out here and meditate for 6 months under the bonsai tree with your, with the crystal on your third eye, no. Just do divination. Do it as often as you can. Even you're probably going to be wrong the first several dozen times. Do not let that discourage you. I'm sure you fell off your bike the first few times you tried to ride your bike. And I'm sure you died in the video game the first few times you played the video game. And I'm sure you struck out the first few times you tried to marry your wife or, get with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, or, whatever. I'm sure. But you kept at it. You persevered and you rode the bike. She said, yes, you got the job, or, whatever it is, you got to stick with it. So do divination. And eventually you will open your third eye. It could be 3 months, could be 6 months, it could be a year. That's up to you, how dedicated you are, where you currently are in your practice right now. It could be 0, you could be 20, you could be 60, whatever. Wherever you are in your practice now has an effect on it, and how often and dedicated you are to doing it. So. All right. Step 4. So let's recap. Step 1, energy manipulation. Learning how to raise, direct, and release. And you know what? Maybe I should also give some resources for these steps as well, where you can go to learn more information about this. So for step 1, for the energy manipulation, you guys know my favorite author for this is Maya Om. M-Y-A, Maya, like the singer from back in the 90s. Maya, space, Om. O-M, like Om, Maya Om. She wrote 2 books. I'm not sure if she's written anything else since then, but her 2 books that I care about are Energy Essentials for Spellcasters and Witches and the Unspell book. The titles don't matter. Just go to Amazon and type in Maya Om and they'll come up. So for energy manipulation, Maya Om is excellent. Also, Matt Oren and his Psychic Witch and Mastering Magic books are also good. His Psychic Witch and Mastering Magic, Matt Oren, is also really good when it comes to learning how to raise, direct, and release energy. So check those out. So that's step 1. Step 2 is occult correspondences. Ooh, excuse me, gas seasoning. So the daily correspondences, the planetary correspondences, the elemental correspondences, the zodiacal correspondences, tarot correspondences, Kabbalah, whatever. 3 books of occult philosophy is good for that. Techniques of high magic is good for that. Modern magic is good for that. Check out those books. They can help with that. Step 3, there are no books because you just do the divination. I mean, there might be books for the divination, but that would be whatever you're interested in. I don't know what you're interested in. So whatever that is, just go find some books on that. And then just start doing it. Doing the divination will work the third eye muscle. It's not a muscle. I don't want any PAs in here to be like, I'm a doctor or I'm a PA and it's not a muscle. It's not a muscle for real. It's an illusion. As an illusion, you work it as a muscle. And it'll force the third eye open, and you will then be able to perceive the spiritual realm as a occultist does. Now, step 4, spell work, ritual work. This is where step 2 becomes important. So step 4, now it's time to take your energy manipulation and actually start putting it together in the form of a spell or a ritual to get a goal accomplished. And in order to do that, you can't formulate a spell without your correspondences. So that's why it was good that you learned it before now, because when you got here, you already know how to, you at least know what pieces are needed. You might not know how to put it together, although maybe you probably should, but that's neither here nor there. You at least know what pieces there are and where to go get them. And now we're going to learn how to put them together. So with spell work and ritual work, you obviously know that you need to be able to raise, direct, and release energy. So you formulate your spell around that. Step 1 of the spell would be raising the energy. How are you going to do that? Are you going to meditate and visualize things and feel things, which is valid, I know I shit on the New Age, but I don't shit on all their practices. It's only on certain practices and certain beliefs. Meditation, visualization, and all that is valid. It's not the be all end all, but it is a valid thing. That is a valid method of raising energy. But you can also do the ritual drumming, the ritual chanting, the mantras, the vibrating sacred names like I do, the entombment, inflaming myself with prayer, whatever, right? That would be step 1. That can be as elaborate or as simple as you want it to be. This is your spell. This is your ritual. Hopefully you're going after success rather than, just saying that you did a ritual, but that's neither here nor there. So that would be step 1. You want to raise the energy. Then you want to direct the energy. Where does this energy go? What are you trying to do? Trying to get a new job, trying to get a boyfriend, girlfriend, trying to, just get some good luck, trying to curse someone, trying to lift a curse, whatever you're trying to do. What is that goal? And now you need to be able to direct your energy that you raised into that goal. This is what the purpose of the ritual is. Now, if you're familiar with Wicca from like the 80s and the 90s, the books that were written back then, you might know this step as the cone of power. This is where you raise, all the energy into that cone, and everybody comes together and hold hands, and we chant to the goddess, and then we release it. We release the energy. And that's them releasing the scream and the they're getting all the energy out. So they say. But that would be what that part would be. So that would be step 2 of your spell or the ritual. And the correspondences come into play now because you need to make sure that this spell or ritual is successful. Sure, you can just sit there and do the energy work and that's about it. But the correspondences are there to help you. So if you want to have a better chance of success, it would be beneficial to use them. So if you are doing a spell for a better job, you're free to do it on a Tuesday night if you so choose, but it might be best to do it on a Thursday night. Or depending on what kind of job it is, maybe even a Wednesday night or a Sunday night, but probably Thursday night would be the first thing most practitioners would say, because Jupiter rules Thursday and Jupiter rules business and wealth and expansion and money and things like that. Although if you had a business and you wanted to grow the business, maybe Sunday would be a better day. because of what gold represents and things like that. But that's why correspondences are important. So you can figure those things out. What day is best? What hour is best? What plants and what herbs should I? Because there's no requirement to use these things. They just help. So what plant or what gemstone or what, tarot card, can I use in this spell in order to add that extra oomph? In order for each of these sympathies to interact with my spell or my ritual in order to find success. So step 4 would be spellcasting and ritual work, and the correspondences would play heavily into this. And of course, step 3 plays into this because you need to do I can't say you need to, you should do a divination before any and all spell work. This should be standard operating procedure, but it's not. So before any and all spell work, you should be doing a divination, especially if you have clients, especially client work, because you might not be, your client work might not be successful, and there might be reasons why it might not be successful. So you want to know that going in. So that way you can tell your client, hey, listen, I can take your $500 if you really want me to, but the love spell is not going to work. Your ex does not want you back. It's not going to happen. The reading said no. I'll do it, and maybe you'll get some loving for the night. They'll come and they'll have sex. Okay, great, but it's not going to last, and you'll be back next week trying to give me another $500. Let's not go down that route, and let's just say they don't want you anymore and you go on about your business. But most people don't do that. So that's step 4, spell work and ritual work. And before we move on to the final step, step 5, let me take a look at the chat. A couple messages behind here. Well, more than a couple, 22 messages behind here. So let's see. After doing my nightly ritual, I had this weird vibrating sensation coming from my body. Any thoughts? That could just be the energy. Where's my water bottle? 1 second. I think I left my water bottle out in the living room. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that could just be the energy flow. If you were, I don't know what sort of ritual or rite you were doing, but that could just be the energy flow. When you're doing magic, you are raising, if you're doing it properly, you're raising, directing, and releasing energy. So that could just be energy coursing through you. I don't vibrate. I feel very tingly after doing magic, especially if it requires a lot of energy. I feel very tingly. My hands, my arms, my legs will feel very tingly. So, maybe that's your version of that. So. I think my tarot cards are too big for my hands. Is that a thing, or is it just my hands being weak? No, yeah, that's a thing. I can show you. I've got a big deck. I'm very immature. I've got a deck here that's bigger than any of my other decks. I actually got a deck that's big wide ways, and then I have a deck that's big long ways. I'll show both of them. So let me show you a normal size deck first. So this is the Gilded Tarot, probably my favorite deck that I own for artwork. It's not my favorite deck to use, but it's my favorite deck for artwork. And it's a very common deck. But this is the Gilded Tarot. So this is the general size of a tarot deck. Well, I can just show one card. I don't have to show the whole deck. This is the general size. So right there. Size of a playing card, maybe a little thinner. I don't know. But that's the general size of a tarot card, right? Then I have, and I'll hold them up side by side. Then I have this Druid Tarot deck where the cards are very wide. And so I do not like using these in my readings. And when people buy readings, I let you pick the deck. But I tell you, this deck is big and I don't like holding this in my hands. I don't like shuffling it. So you're the client, you're free to pick, but just know that I'm not going to have a good time with this deck. But, so this is the Druid Tarot. You can already see it's bigger. Like that's them side by side. Like you can, like if I put it in front and like put it in the center, like look at that. Like that's bigger. And then I've got the Serpent Icons, which is a sorceress distortion of the Tarot de Marseille, for any tarot enthusiasts out there. This is a sorceress distortion of the Tarot de Marseille. Serpent Icons from Anathema Publishing. Any Catholics out there? Any Orthodox out there? Anathema. Catholics don't sing the anathemas, that's the Orthodox, but singing the anathema, and then I got the long guys here. So if I were to put them together, so you can see the Gilded Tarot, and then the Druid Tarot, and then the Serpent Icons. So yeah. So yeah, that's certainly a thing, that they do make cards that are different sizes. This makes it very hard to shuffle. The long cards make it super hard to shuffle. Yeah. And if you're interested, this is what it looks like on the card. So yes, I mean, while it certainly could be, you might have, small hands or something like that. I doubt that. There are times when card makers or manufacturers or book publishers or whatever do publish cards that are bigger in size. Let me put these back in. So yes, that could definitely be a thing. Because I don't use the Druid deck in many of my readings. There are some people who want it, but most people heed my, it's too big, and I really don't want to read them. So, and because of that, I haven't read the Druid deck in a long time, so I'm not that great with it. You build affinities with certain decks that you work with often enough. You build up a relationship. Put this in there. Sorry, I'm trying to put all these cards away. All right, there we go. All right. Put that back. Okay. All right. All right. Just checking in, bro. Sending you positive energy. Thank you very much. Have you forsaken your African ancestral practices for occultist witch practices? I have not. I practice hoodoo. Show us the book again, please. Which book? The one I was reading a quote from when we first started, that was Shamanic Kabbalah. But that was like over an hour. That was like an hour ago, and I doubt that's what you're talking about. Did I show any other books? I know I showed Mystical Kabbalah, but that was also when I was reading Shamanic Kabbalah. I showed Psychic Witch and Mastering Magick by Matt Aron. Psychic Witch and Mastering Magick. These are purchased on Amazon. They're like $15, maybe. Whew. If my third eye muscle cramps, that means I need more potassium bath salts, right? Sure. Let's go with that. All right. Before I continue with the Q&A, since I only have one more step left, let's just finish that, and then we can continue with the Q&A. All right. So we did energy manipulation, step 1. Occult correspondences, step 2. Step 3, open your third eye or do some form of divination. Maybe I should plug in my phone. I'm at 25%. Step 4, spell casting and ritual work. And now step 5, the culmination of it all, which is what we do in Grimoire tradition, spirit work, working with spirits. Now, that could be any form. It doesn't have to be evocation. So you certainly don't have to, go out and get scrying mirrors and, obsidian spheres and dark bowls of water and things like that and start, working from the grimoires. But spirit work should be one of the final steps in a beginner's repertoire or arsenal or learning curriculum. I don't know what I want to call it, but should be one of the final things you learn before you leave beginner and move into intermediate stage. So spirit work. So that's working with spirits for either at an invocation level, at an evocation level. Some people like to argue whether or not those two are the same thing. There is a case for that. I don't want to dismiss that point of view. There is a case for that, although in some ways I'm a literalist, so there is a difference between calling something into yourself and then calling something up, but it's external from yourself, which is evocation. So invocation and evocation. It can be conjury style, which is conjure. So what do they call it? When you mix like stuff like sigil magic with hoodoo and grimoire tradition, there's like a new term for it, and I forget what the kids are calling it these days. Infernal conjurecraft, and they call it infernal because they usually use demons with it, but you can certainly use angels or a planetary spirit or whatever. But it can be in a conjure sort of environment. It can be in a gate walking environment. It can be in a what did Michael Cittatelli call his astral evocations? Transcendent. It can be in a transcendent sort of a setting, which is just a fancy term for astral evocations. Any sort of way, but you want to start developing relationships with spirits. I recommend, again, you don't have to do it the way that I came up. I just happen to be taught this way. So this is the way I teach it out. You might want to start with your ancestors first. That's how I got started, with the ancestors first. And then they would be my psychopomp, not for the dead, even though that's what most people would put a psychopomp at. I started out with Bune for the dead. Then I moved into my ancestors. But for any other spirit class, they were my psychopomp. And it's very simple to get in touch with your ancestors. You can leave a glass of water on your altar as an offering. I have mine sitting here on my altar. I refresh my water weekly, unless it's looking kind of, stale, or the bubbles are gone, because I usually have a working going. And when I have a working going and my ancestors are working, there's bubbles. And so if I have a working going and there's no bubbles, then I kind of feel like they might need a refresh, so I'll refresh it then. But other than that, I refresh it weekly. And you can simply light a candle. Now, you're initially supposed to have the candle going all night for your first initial contact. Some people don't like that. So in that case, I would say don't use like these kind of candles. Don't use like the stick kind, like these. Don't use these kind of candles, the kind that is out in the open with the open flame. For your initial contact, you might want to use votive candles. That's what I use. So that way they're in the glass, so I can keep it running all night. If I was a beginner, I don't have to do that now, but if I was going to keep it running all night, it's inside the glass. And if you don't have an altar, you can use a nightstand or an end table, put it next to your bed, light the candle, put the water there, make a statement calling out to your ancestors. There's several books. Anna Rivas has a good book on getting in touch with your ancestors. De Illumin Ra. I'm probably not saying his name right. Has some good books on ancestor veneration, especially when it comes to necromancy. Denise Alvarado has a good book, or at least a chapter in her hoodoo book on ancestor veneration. But you can tailor it to however you want to say it. But make a statement of reaching out to your ancestors. Let them know that the candle is a beacon for them to find their way to you. Of course, they know how to get to you, but the candle is a beacon, and the glass of water is an offering and a portal for them to be able to access and to do work in your world. And just leave it overnight, and then ask them to visit you in your dreams. Leave a notebook or your phone nearby, so that way when you wake up, you can do your best to write your dreams down right away, so that way you can get into the habit of remembering them, because a lot of people don't remember their dreams after they wake up. I know I don't, so I have to keep a dream journal. or else I won't, like, I'll wake up and go, wow, that was a crazy dream. And then I'll go, I got to tell my friend about it. And then I'll get up, maybe go piss real quick or whatever, and come back and try to text my friend. And I forgot within the 30 seconds it took me to get out of bed and go pee. I forgot. So try to keep a dream journal either on your phone, like your notepad or your Google Docs or whatever, or an actual notebook. Yeah, invite them into your dreams, and just start a relationship with your ancestors. Now, I've had some people come to me in the past talking about generational trauma and ancestral issues with their family. You know, there's abuse or something. It's something, whatever happened, whatever. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. You'll have to figure out a way to work that out. I don't know. I didn't have that issue, so I didn't have to work through that issue. So I don't know any techniques or anything to get through generational issues with your ancestors. I know how to get through issues that you might personally have. Like if you had a problem with Uncle Bob and then he died and you guys didn't resolve it or whatever, I know how to fix that. But great grandma from 2 generations ago, she was, I don't know, she beat your great grandma and then she beat and now that's a down the line type of thing. I wouldn't know how to, you have to get some help with that. I wouldn't know how to do anything about that. But aside from that, a positive relationship with your ancestors is beneficial. If not for anything more than they are the spirits that are the closest to you, because they are tied to you by blood. So demons, angels, even the elementals and everything, they are a bit further removed from us than the dead are. Oh, excuse me. And the dead that are related to us by blood are much closer to us than the general dead. So if for nothing more than they understand the problems that humans go through, more so than a demon would, or more so than an angel would, or a planetary spirit or a genius Loki would, they would be more apt to help us than any other type of being. And you don't have to coerce your ancestors. Demons and angels, you have to petition, you have to coerce them, you have to make a deal and give them an offering and, blood, some, whatever. While you do have to give your ancestors an offering, it's generally the same things. There's no real negotiation. It's usually some type of alcohol. I use rum or tobacco, like the lighting of a cigar or something like that. Or if you're, doing some Western practice, I guess, incense or something like that could be fine. But traditionally, alcohol, or tobacco. Sorry, I thought I heard my friend's truck. He has a pretty loud truck. And I hear something, but I don't think it's his truck. I think it's like a Mustang or something. Okay, it's not his truck. They went by. They didn't pull in the driveway. So yeah, spirit work is number 5. So to recap, getting started with occultism. Step 1, energy manipulation. Learn how to manipulate energy. Raise, direct, and release energy. Step 2, occult correspondences. Get your daily, if nothing else, get your daily correspondences, your planetary correspondences, and your elemental correspondences down. Everything else, like all the other correspondences, can kind of wait. But your daily correspondences, so what Monday represents and Friday and all that other stuff, your planetary correspondences, which delves into the daily but also has its own thing, and also the elemental correspondences. Get into those, and then the rest can come later. Then divination, third eye opening. Do divination. Of course, I don't want to stop you from studying, multiple systems of divination and, doing readings and all this other stuff. But the best practice for this is actually doing it. There will be plenty of time to study, but for divination, practice is best. In my opinion, there could be another person out there who disagrees. That's fine. But in my opinion, doing the practice is what's going to, you don't get muscles by reading about exercising. You have to actually go to the gym and exercise, or else you'll just be an out of shape person who knows a lot about being in shape, but you're not in shape. So like no one's going to listen to you. You might be saying everything right. Everything you're saying is right, but you're not in shape. So therefore no one's going to take you seriously. You're not going to. So you should probably practice what you preach and go to the gym, and then you'll get some muscles, and then you'll have a good butt. Same with occultism. Do the divination. That'll open your third eye. Step 4, spell casting. Learning how to formulate a spell, learning how to put the spell together, how to actually do the thing of the raising, directing, and releasing of energy. It's one thing to say it and to know that that's what you do, but how do you do it? Sorry, I thought that was his truck too. How do you do it? What was I going to tie into that? The divination part. Doing a divination before most spell work. Not every, but most spell work. And when you're first starting out, you might as well do it for everything. And then getting into spirit work. Learning how to work with spirits, whether it's from an evocationary manner, an invocatory manner, conjury, astral evocation, whatever. I recommend starting out with your ancestors, using them as your ambassadors, your go-betweens, your middleman, your psychopomps. Even though people associate that with the dead, technically it's any being that would be an intermediary or a go-between. So I would use them to get you introduced to other spirits. And yeah, so that's the Mystical Rebels 5 steps to getting started with occultism. I truly, truly, truly believe if you get through these 5 steps successfully, like you do them, not just reading about them, but you do them, once you get past step 5 and you're successful with it, you would have moved out of beginner stage and into the intermediate stage. This is where things get a little fun. This is where you start to, once you're an intermediate, you can start deconstructing things and having fun with things. So you can start to play around, do plug and play. Oh, the spell says I need this, but I don't feel like buying that. That's fine, but you have to replace it. And because you studied occult correspondences in step 2, you should have ample knowledge on how to replace whatever it is that you don't want to buy or go ahead and get and whatever. So you can start to have fun once you become intermediate. And then after that, you become advanced. So that's my 5 steps. I hope you wrote that down or you screen recorded or whatever. This will be on my YouTube, but yeah. So that's it. That's the 5. So let's see what's going on here in the chat. Let's pick back up with the Q&A. And thank you guys for the likes. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the gifts that you've been giving me throughout the live stream. I truly appreciate it. I didn't want to interrupt the flow that I was on, so I didn't say anything during the live stream, not during, what most people mean when they say during. But it's always nice to scream into the void. Oh yeah, when I was going, yeah, the cone of power. That was because that's what my coven did. They weren't Wiccan. They were some tradcraft, but not the British stuff. So I don't know. They call themselves the Elderwood Coven. What that means, there is no Elderwood witchcraft that I'm aware of. So I don't know. Like I don't know the official thing that they did. But they used a lot of Wiccan-esque type things, and they used the cone of power type thing. And they would always do the and I was like, oh my God. Like it would be weird just watching old people just It's like they're trying to release the energy. It's like Sunday would be better to get a business notice, but Thursday would be better to expand the income. Exactly. Thank you, Power of the Occult. Thank you. Hello, I was meant to find you. May I ask a question with respect, not a reading question? Of course, sure. Of course. I do my best to get to each and all questions. Of course, while I was going on my talk here, I missed a lot. I'm 80 messages behind right now, but I'm doing my best to get through all of them, except the ones where you're just talking to each other. Have you ever sprouted electric tendrils from your fingertips and controlled someone like a puppet? I've not, no. I do not practice any sort of like predatory or assault sorcery. I do study it. I do have books that go over things like that, like Sacerdotum Umbrae Mortis or like Game of Saturn, things like that. But I don't practice anything like that, no. Greetings, Limbo Swan. Welcome. Glad to have you here, if you're still here. Do you have to do a cleansing or protection spell before tarot divination? You don't need to do any sort of protection spell. Cleansing should be part of your routine. However often that routine gets done is up to you. I do my banishings and my cleansings weekly. Like everything that I do almost gets almost everything that I do gets reset weekly. So I reset my wards weekly. So my shields and my wards that protect me and my home and things from magical attack and things like that. I set those weekly and refresh them. Any magic I do in my office or out in the living room or whatever, I banish and cleanse weekly. So I get those energies out and ready, and then I invoke benefic energies and things like that. So that way, it's not just an empty space. There's positivity and positive energy in here. Any sort of if I have items that need to be recharged, okay, that's a lie. I do the charging on a monthly basis. I follow the lunar cycle for that. But if I need items that need to be cleansed, like if I just bought an item but I didn't use it right away, so I just put it in my altar somewhere, but I need down at the bottom. The stuff I use on a regular basis is at the top. The shelves and stuff and the drawers in the bottom get all the extras. Then I do that every week. But however often you do it is up to you. But yes, I would recommend you at least do a cleansing once a week, but it's not required before every divination or anything like that. No, not at all. Now, if you have clients, if you do client work though, and you do client work in person, I would recommend maybe not after every one, because you can take that energy and build on it, which is why you don't want to banish and cleanse after every spell. Depending. If you're doing a lot of black magic, you might want to cleanse. But if you're just doing, a random spell for like love or money or good health or whatever, you don't have to banish after that. The next spell you do, you can tap into the energy that's still hanging around from the last spell you did and use that to boost your, and then so on, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. But eventually you do want to banish because the residual energies will start to become conscious. They'll get powerful enough and there'll be enough that they'll become semi-conscious. And then that's when you'll get poltergeist activity and people think that they're haunted. Then they call the priest. The priest comes, he reads this Bible, throws some holy water. Nothing happens because it's not a demon. So nothing happens. And then they call some new age energy person. They come through and they don't know what's going on because they don't know anything about spirits. So it's like, nobody knows what's going on. Well, it's probably because you didn't banish and cleanse and you got all this residual energy hanging around. And it got to the point where it became semi-conscious. Donald Michael Craig, the late Donald Michael Craig, would call them astral nasties. Maybe not the best term, but it describes them accurately. So, yeah, hopefully that long-winded answer answers your question. All right, that you guys talking to each other. Nice Medusa-esque. Hello, Mystic. How are you? What's up for tonight? What's going on, Project Ethos? We were just going over my... Why does that happen? I wasn't even touching my face. I'm down here in the comments. Stop moving. Stop that. We were just talking about my what is it? My 5 steps to getting started in occultism. I was going to call it something else, but my 5 steps to getting started in occultism. Build a relationship with death as we experience it many times. I do agree with that people, well, I don't know if everyone should build a relationship with that, but I think people should be comfortable with that, which I guess in that case might mean building a relationship with death. But, yeah, I mean, you can go and study the necrosophic systems and they can, since they actually venerate death and the wisdom that it provides, they would be the best people, in my opinion. In the West, in the East, you might want to go talk to some of the Kumantong and stuff like that. But over here in the West, the necrosophic systems, mainly from South America, would be probably the best option. Occultism is not God. You're right. It's not God. It's occultism. God is God. So I don't know what you're trying to say. Oh. Do you mean occultism is not of God? Why not? You must not be familiar with Abrahamism and all of the occult things that are found within the Bible, the Zohar, the Midrash, the Shimus Telehim, but that's neither here nor there. I am not teaching the young Jedi the art of the Force. Mystic, do you have a write-up of the syllabus of step-by-step progression for beginners? Do I have a write-up? I mean, I have it written down, like I have it written down, but do you mean do I have it typed up? I don't know if I have it typed up. to like put somewhere. Maybe, I don't know. Let me check my drive. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. Let me go to my tutorials that I have. All the tutorials I wrote back when I was running Wizard forums back in the day, like 10 years ago. I wrote up all these tutorials. Here we go. Oh, excuse me. No, no, and if I do, it's not. I didn't put it in the tutorials. No, but I gotta figure out how to. Maybe I should put this in my Discord. All these tutorials. I've got a bunch of tutorials that I wrote up, and then I got these courses that I need to film. Wow, I forgot about a lot of this stuff. God damn. I was dedicated to that forum. Jesus Christ. Please excuse my interruption. Quick question. Did the demon erasers ever respond to you? The demon erasers. The demon erasers. Is that the Brian guy? The if you guys really knew what witches were doing, you would be utterly appalled. Is that that's him? I feel like that's him. Hold on. Let me TikTok. I think that's him. Brian. Why would that be the video that demon chasers or demon erasers? Erasers. But demons in sewers, that's not real. Yes, okay, so that is the guy. Yep, because I typed in demon erasers and the first video that comes up is my video. That's so crazy. I mean, his page comes up, but then under that, at least on the web version, under videos, my video is the top one. So, sweet. But yeah, I guess that's him. He didn't respond to the video, no. But I don't expect them to. I don't expect people from that religion to respond. So. White dude with a beard. Who, God? In the name of Jesus Christ, Satan, I rebuke you. All right. Well, did it work? I mean, you probably said that 20 plus minutes ago because I'm 85 messages behind. And this entire time I've been here, the stream wasn't interrupted. I didn't get kicked off or anything like that. So I don't think it worked, man. I don't think your rebucation, your rebukeness. No, you're rebuking the act of rebuking. Yes, that's grammatically correct, right? What is the how do I say it? In the past, like, but currently. Does that make sense? I know there's a word for it. Past participle? I don't know. My English professor would be like, why'd you even come to school? But your rebuking didn't work. Is that valid? Is that grammatically correct? Grammar Nazis, help me out. Is that valid? But it didn't work. Whether it's valid or not, it didn't work. I'm still here. So, if anything, you got rebuked. I think you're gone. So, don't do any of this. Why not? Why not? Stop moving. Yo, I'm not touching that at all. Who says Jesus isn't coming back as the Antichrist to live a life of sin? I don't know who says that. Now I don't agree with that, but I don't know who says that. Call upon the Lord. I do call upon the Lord. I practice grimoire tradition, so call upon the Lord quite often. I remember my dreams as if I lived them. I wish. I don't. I gotta write mine down. In meditation, ask guardians to step to the crystal table. You ask to have it released. To the crystal table? What do you mean the crystal table? And where does that come from? What do you mean? Which religious texts have you read? I feel like they all have different valuable teachings. Well, if you mean like legally established religions, like they don't pay taxes or anything like that, it's really only the Bible. I don't study religion. I study occult philosophy. So religious, it's really just the Bible. I don't, or and some of the Jewish texts. But yeah, I don't study religion. I study occult philosophy and esoteric philosophy and mystical philosophy, which is found outside of organized religion. So, all right, let me close this because I keep hearing this guy talk on a TikTok. So let me close that out. I hear you speak about elemental spirits. Can you speak more about that? Yeah, sure. What do you want to know about them? They're the spirits of earth, air, fire, and water. So the undines, the gnomes, the salamanders, and the sylphs or the sliffs. Or if we go classically, instead of gnomes, they would be pygmies. They were called pygmies. Instead of undines, they would be mermaids. I think that's it. The rest of them, salamanders have always been salamanders, and I think sylphs or sliffs, however you say them, has always been that. Now, the spirits of the air, the spirits of the elements of the air are different than aerial spirits. They are different. There's a difference between aerial spirits and spirits of the air. What's up, boy? Do you want to go back out again or something? You all right? You okay? You just want to chill? You just want to chill in here? All right. Sorry, my dog came in here. I thought he wanted to go out, but I think he just wants to chill. But yeah, so there's a difference between spirits of the air and aerial spirits. So don't get confused if you're reading, like the Heptameron talks about the aerial spirits. That's not the spirits of the air, or that's not the elemental spirits of the air. Those beings are different. Spirits of water generally represent things like emotion and intuition and things like that. Spirits of fire is like passion and will and energy, and spirits of earth are like grounded and stable, and in some cases money and finances. And spirits of air are intellect and mind and memory and things of that nature. But if you want me to go any deeper, you'd have to ask like specific questions. It's very hard for me just to talk about it. Like I would need to know what you're interested in knowing. It isn't a trip we don't choose. It seems predetermined. Been seeing so many angels and infernals. Do the work. That's right. Do the work. Do the work. Why do they come into my face? Is it a warning me? Wanting to communicate, testing by spirit. Who comes to your face? What do you mean by that? Who comes to your face? Which occultist had the most knowledge? I have no idea. I can tell you that of the historical occultists that I liked, but I have no idea who had the most knowledge. I wouldn't know anything about that. But I can tell you who I liked. Agrippa, Trithemius, Bacon, Johann Trithemius, Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, Roger Bacon, Reginald Scott, Saint Cyprian, if you believe some of the legends, that he was a magician, Moses, Solomon, Aaron, Ezekiel. So read Psalms, read Proverbs daily. They are good to read, especially if you are doing spell work. The Psalms are used quite often, especially in the folk systems like Hoodoo. Psalms are used. You're a legend, Mystic. Well, thank you very much. I do my best to help. Also, most occult books are not even beginner ones, unless it's specifically about getting started. Most beginner books don't do this. They don't lay out, okay, start here and do this. Then once you master this, come back and then do this. Then once you master this, go learn it. Most of them don't. They assume that you're here, you're reading this because you already know what you're doing, at least somewhat. They assume that you already know what you're doing. Which lends into my theory that in the past, like centuries and centuries ago, there's this theory that the vast majority of occult texts were purposely written with blinds and mistakes on purpose to deter people from, doing the magic and things like that. I don't believe that. I do believe that there are some, and there are some that's been proven that that's been the case, yes. But to say that most or the vast majority or even a lot, I think is a fallacy. I think is folly. These books were not meant to be mass produced, with the exception of the Bibliothèque Bleue, I believe it was called, in France during like the 18th century, when they literally went door to door, knocking on your door, trying to sell you grimoires. These books were not meant to be mass produced. I promise you that whoever wrote, whoever wrote the Triangular Grimoire of Saint Germain was not expecting it to be in Barnes and Noble for anybody to come and purchase. I promise you, they were not expecting that, and they were not hoping for that. These books were written for specific people, for specific groups, and they were disseminated amongst those groups. They were sent through courier and all this to these other groups. They weren't sent to the bookstore and then they were giving lectures on these things. Sometimes they were, for some books in some cases, but not for the vast majority of them. And I think that we see that today, where books are written for practitioners. They assume you already know what you're doing. They don't go into the beginner stuff unless that's what the book is about. It assumes you know how to cast the spell. That's why you're reading it. But that's not the case, unfortunately. Anybody can walk into Barnes & Noble and grab a book and start reading it. So therefore, while I obviously can't force every single author who doesn't write an advanced level book to put, step by step how to do magic in their books, I think if more authors started doing it, it would be helpful. So, yeah. There is a lot of order. Some of us seem to be born into things, and some are of the light. Well, yes, there are a lot of orders. And yes, some people are born into occult families or, traditions and systems. I was not lucky enough to have that, but I got lucky in other ways. So, Universal Alchemy said this, my friend. Universal Alchemy is that a book, or is that a creator on this app or something? Can you cast spells that affect the physical world? Let's say something like Fireball or Water Stream. No. This is not a movie or a TV show or anything like that. Believe me, if that were possible, I would not be on here teaching you how to cast the spell. I'd be teaching you how to throw fireballs from here. This would be some Naruto shit or some Dragon Ball Z type shit. I wouldn't be sitting here talking about, raise the energy. I'd be shing, 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 shing. But unfortunately, it's not like that. I would love to fly around and, shoot fireballs or, air bend or something like that, but it doesn't work that way. Oh, I got to charge my phone. I'm at 5%. Hold on. Let me plug in my phone. I'm at 5%. I wanted to die on y'all. Okay. She's charging, right? Okay, she's charging. But no, we don't. No, there's no. That's not a thing. Can you list the 5 steps one more time? Sure. So for anybody who's just coming in or whatever, don't know what's going on, the 5 steps for getting started with the cult. I'm not going to go deep into them again, but I'll name them off. So we've got energy manipulation. Step 1, raising, directing, and releasing energy. Step 2. Occult correspondences. Learning about the daily correspondences, the planetary correspondences, and the elemental correspondences should be your main focus. After that, you're free to go where you wish, but start there. Step 3, open your third eye. Do divination. Most systems that offer training will tell you to separate the two. So spend some time learning divination, first I'll probably say open your third eye first, and then spend time learning divination. I say kill 2 birds with 1 stone and do them all at the same time. So you can learn divination while also doing divination. The third eye, as an illusion, is a muscle. It's not a for real muscle. As an illusion, it's a muscle. And the only way to get a muscle to grow and be strong is to work it. So you're not going to work it in a book. You're not going to work it by watching a YouTube video. You're going to work it by doing divination. So while you should be reading and watching your videos or whatever, your courses and taking them all, whatever, at the same time, you should also be doing divination. So that's step 3. Step 4 is spell casting and ritual work. So formulating your spells, casting spells, doing rituals, breaking them down or reverse engineering them, figuring out what all the components, how they work together and how they can be mismatched and swip swapped and all that. Figuring out how all that works and how you can incorporate step 2 into that. And then step 5 is the spirit work, working with spirits, whether that's in evocationary manner, whether that's in a invocationary manner, whether that's conjuring, whether that's petitioning, whatever. Getting in touch with spirits for beneficial relationships would be the 5 steps. So energy manipulation, occult correspondences, divination, third eye, spell casting and ritual work, and spirit work would be the 5 steps. Jeez. Have you heard of the White Brotherhood? If it's the one from Theosophy, yes, I have. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with racial anything, even though they claim it's not about race. It certainly is. Theosophy came at the same time that the mystical Kabbalah came out. They were kind of popular around the same times. Although Theosophy is about 45 years older than when it came out, but they were popular around the same time. And both of them make racial comments and things like that. So no, I don't agree with that. I'd like to recommend Kabbalah Magick by Liam Christopher as it has you doing what you went over. Okay, I've not heard of Kabbalah Magick, but I will take a look into that. Thank you very much. Kabbalah Magick by Liam Christopher. So everyone, if you're interested, Kabbalah Magick by Liam Christopher was recommended by Power of the Occult. So thank you, Power of the Occult, for that recommendation. I will check that out. Kabbalah Magick by Liam Christopher. I work with angels and demons, as you should. As you should. You should be balanced. You shouldn't work with just angels or just demons. Whether you believe it or not, magic is about balance. It's about the duality of man, and that. How do I want to say this? I'll just say it the way I was taught. Fuck it. You are the magician, or the witch, or the sorcerer, or the shaman, or whatever you want to call yourself. But you are the magician, and your will be done. You are an emanation of God. The New Age would say you're a co-creator. That is a little watered down from what you actually are, but I guess in this case it illustrates the point. You are an emanation of God. You are the co-creator. You, as an agent of God, as an ambassador, just like if the Secretary of State were to go of the U.S. were to take a trip to France, they're there on behalf of the United States. They speak they act as an agent for the president. They're not the president. They don't have all power that the president has, but they speak on behalf of the president. They act with the full power and authority of the president. So if France wants to do something and they're like, U.S., do you agree? While Biden's not going to be there saying yes or no, it'll be the Secretary of State. They're speaking for Biden. So the answer is going to be yes or no. And then France has no choice but to go with that or not. Same concept. As above, so below. We act as agents of God. So therefore, if God's will can be done, and we are agents, we are emanations of God, by extension, our will can be done as well. And if God is free to create as he does, we have this beautiful world and, the animals and the flowers and the oceans and the mountains and the people and, the culture and the language and all that, all those things are beautiful, but there's also destruction. There's also hate and war. And while those things are man-made, there's death. That's not man-made. There are natural disasters that cause death. That's not man-made. There are things that, you could be just out in the wilderness, hiking in the woods and get attacked by, these are terrible things that are negative. And so if God can cause negative things to happen, why can't we? If we are agents and emanations of God and his will be done, and by extension, our will be done, if my will is negative, so what? I should be able to go ahead and do whatever that negative thing is and carry on. And then, of course, someone should be free to counteract that and, whatever. So you should work with both angels and demons. You should not be stuck to just good or just stuck to just the left-hand path like the 14-year-old edgelords who follow E.A. Coetting want to do. You should be balanced, and you should have one foot in heaven and one foot in hell, is how I look at it. So, just curious question, why work with why work with demons at all? Are angels not stronger, safer? Well, hopefully I just answered that when I was going over Keeper's question about working with angels and demons. Hopefully I just answered that. And yes, Aldrichi says it's actually the opposite. Yes, it is actually the opposite. Demons are a lot easier to get stuff done from, but they choose the path of least resistance, so you may not like how they get the job done, but they'll get it done. Whereas angels, think of it like this. Going to a demon is like going to the mafia or, some gang or a loan shark or something like that to get something done, right? They'll do it. Sure, you pay me, I'll do it, but you're probably not gonna like how I get it done because I'm not a professional. I'm a gang member, so sure, I'll go do the crime, but it's not going to be it's not going to be movie-esque. It's going to be sloppy and weird, and I'll probably get caught and go to jail, and I'll probably snitch on you, and you'll probably go to jail. Blah blah blah. That's in my view, going to a demon. Whereas going to an angel would be like going to the government. So they'll do it the right way, but God, it's going to take forever. You got to sign papers and go to the meeting, and then you got to get the permission. And he's got to talk to his boss, and his boss got to sign. 6 months later, finally, you get the court case. And it's like, what? Like, come on. So that's how I would see it. Demons would be like going to the mafia. They're quick. They'll get it done, but it might be a little sloppy. You might not like how it gets done. Whereas angels are going to the government. They'll get it done. It'll be done professionally, but it'll take forever. There's all kinds of bureaucracy and all kinds of nonsense you got to work through, and you got to be pious and holy and cleansed and pray for 3 days and all sort of nonsense. So, yeah. Sometimes when working with people with a gray illness or evil entity, it takes evil to get rid of it. So you mean like when the Sanhedrin accused Jesus of casting out demons through the help of demons? You mean like that? Jesus was the biggest occultist. He was certainly an occultist, yes. Any Luciferianism books that you recommend? You always have the best book recommendations. Well, thank you very much. For Luciferianism, not really. Not outside of like Michael Ford. Excuse me. He's really the only Luciferian that I know of, and whose books that I own. Yeah, I don't even think I have a Hold on, let me check my drive. Do I have a Luciferian? Well, I have a Satanism and Luciferian section, but yeah, this is all Michael Ford, except for Nox and Furnace and Lords of the Left-Hand Path and this Kenneth Grant book. And who's this by? Liber Obsidian Obscura. I feel like this is a Daniel Skulke. Is it Daniel Skulke? Who is this by? Why doesn't it tell me who this is by? Oh, Alexandra Minfield Ray. Oh, no. Never mind. Yeah, the rest of this stuff is by Michael Ford. So outside of Michael Ford, no, I'm not really familiar with Luciferianism when it comes to book recommendations. Yeah, no, I don't have anything. Sorry. I would not be able to help with book recommendations for Luciferianism outside of Michael Ford. If you're interested in some Michael Ford stuff, I have a couple books I can give you. But outside of that, I'm not familiar with Luciferianism. I ask that you repent and throw away these idols, for there is only one God, that's Jesus Christ. I would ask you to get familiar with grimoire tradition and then come back. Thank you. And I thought Jesus Christ was only 1/3 of God, not the totality of God. He was God in the flesh. But are you forgetting about God the Father and God the Holy Spirit? Do they not matter? Are they not the one God, the one true God? So then what would be the point of praying to the Father or to the Holy Spirit? What would be the point of any of that if it's only Jesus? That doesn't make any sense. But whatever. Rebuke is the act, past, present, and future. Really? So your rebuke didn't work? That's the right phrasing? Your rebuke didn't work. That's the right phrasing? Jesus taught us how to awaken, learn to read the Bible properly. Oh, you're talking to King David. Your rebuke. Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you. Psalms have magical purpose and have history of being used for such by Jews and Christians. I think that's true. Yep. There is no evil. It's all perception and vibrations. We are all one. We've been lied to for control. Well, I don't agree with that. I'm a hermeticist, so we definitely believe in evil. But that's cool, though. A cult is a childish birthing of a culture. Would you be able to elaborate on that? So you're saying like cults like Jonestown or something like that they're the childish birthing of a culture? Or like Scientology? Ooh, can I say that? No, I can't say that because they're a legally recognized religion. So no, they're not a cult. Sorry. Jehovah's Witness, they're a cult. I don't know if I would say that they're building or they're trying to birth a culture. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't live in an area that's predominantly Jehovah's Witness, so maybe they are. I don't know. I would say there are people more like the Mormons. Somebody should, I don't want to get sniped, so maybe I shouldn't say this. Somebody should take a look at what's going on with them on the border, Arizona. Somebody should take a look at that. Find out what's going on with that. Please don't snipe me, and then I die right now. Now I'm dead. But yeah, don't go looking for certain looking houses and buildings near the border, Arizona. And what's up with all the Mormons over in Mexico? What's up with that? And the cross border. You know what? We don't got to talk about human trafficking. I would say they're trying to do things, but not other cults. But thoughts on elite? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. Thoughts on elite child adorers? We'll say. I'm not sure how to word this without getting in trouble. Thoughts on minor attractors. That doesn't sound right. Minor attracted persons, maybe. Yeah. Thoughts on thoughts on elite minor attracted persons. It certainly happens. We would be naive to think that just because someone has money means that they're immune from mental issues. And I would think that that's a mental issue. A grave sickness. But I don't think and I don't see any evidence of it being anything affiliated with the occult, which is where the conspiracies come in. The Illuminati are out here, harvesting adrenochrome of children. They're locked in cages, under the pizza parlor, and they're beat so that way their fear can be, and their SA'd so fear can be induced, and then they put a needle in their spine and suck out the adrenochrome. There's no evidence of that. Just a bunch of conspiracies. That's not to say that people like Epstein or Epfrey was that's not to say that he wasn't weird and doing illegal things on his island, but I don't think it had anything to do with anything dealing with the occult. Just a bunch of rich people who are trying to blackmail each other and trying to get leverage on each other, which is what you do when you're in those circles, because you all have money. So what do you mean? Giving me another $1 billion is not going to do anything for me. So you might need to blackmail me, or in order for you to do the deal with my company that you don't want to do. I can't give you money. You already got money. So I got to do something. I need this deal, or the shareholders are going to kick me out. I can't be CEO no more. That's not going to work. I need $50 million a year. So I got to stay CEO. So, yeah, we're going to do this deal. And if you're not going to do the deal, then I guess I have to tell the world that you're a minor attracted person. What do you mean? I'm not a minor attracted person. Oh, yeah, really? What about all these pictures from when you were at Jeff Stein's house? That's what they do. I don't think there's anything dealing with the occult there. So. Let's see. You guys are talking to each other a lot. That's good. Here we go. Even being born into a tradition, you have to apply yourself to learning. It's not automatic. That's very true. Alderici. Very true. Well, I think my internet's out again. Oh, it was just your phone. Oh, my phone's messing up? You can't, my phone's jacked up? Like the audio? I remember scrolling through spells of magic and trying to cast. Oh! The days of being on, oh my God, of being on spells of magic, or what was that? Maybe hold on. There was spells of magic, and then there was spellsandmagic.com. One of them had the guy Pazuzu. There was a guy who was Pazuzu, and he was like the face of I think it was Spells and Magic, not Spells of Magic. I think it was spellsandmagic.com. And both those websites, I used to be like 13, 14 years old going to these websites and thinking that like, this is how it's done. This is how you do magic. And oh my God. That was a very interesting time. Being young. And I mean, I'm still young, I'm not old, but I mean, being young and thinking that like, this is it. Like, I found magic and this is how you cast spells, and then you try it and nothing happens. Like, nothing. Literally nothing. And you're sitting there wondering why. I did everything it said. I got the apple and the dirty sock and the chair and the lamp and all this other stuff, and nothing's happening, and you're wondering why. Now when I think back, now after 20 years of experience, I look back and I'm like, it's obvious why it didn't work, and then you list it all out. But when you're 13, 14 years old and you're looking at this stuff, and that's why I have to do what I do. Because I remember what it was like being a 13, 14-year-old and not knowing anything. So imagine a 22-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 50-year-old just getting into the occult, and they're coming across those websites. They don't know any better. They don't know. They don't know because nobody told them how magic is really supposed to work, what it's really supposed to look like. So they think that's what it is. So someone like me has to come along and say, you're free to do whatever you want. I can't force you to do what you want. But I don't know what that is over there, but it's not magic. You got a dirty sock and a diaper and a lamp and a shoe and some ice cream, and you're calling it a spell. And I don't know why. Sure, maybe some chaos nonsense, whatever. But why don't you come on over here? I'll show you how to really do a spell. And instead of using your ice cream in a spell, why don't you eat the ice cream? And then we'll do a spell. Throw the diaper away, wash the dirty sock, and then we'll do some magic. Right? So, but yes, I remember those days. All too familiar with the curse of this place. What place? LMAO EA co-wedding. Yeah, I didn't mean to really disparage co-wedding. I'm not a fan of Become a Living God, so I'm not a fan of anything he did post 2012. But 2012 and before, his 6 or 7 books that he wrote, but like before Bog was fine. I don't have a problem with. I have a problem with Spider and the Green Butterfly, but other than that, I don't have a problem with Questing After Visions or Epistlemus or Works of Darkness or Baneful Magic or Kingdoms of Flame. I would have a problem with Kingdoms of Flame if he wasn't honest and told us that they were egregores. If he made us think that these were legitimate spirits that existed of their own volition, I would have a problem with it. But luckily he was honest and he was like, these spirits don't like really, I mean, they exist, but they're not, we created them. Like his order, the Eternalis Ascension or whatever they're called. They created them. So I was happy to see that he was honest about that. So other than that, I don't have any issues with old co-editing. But after Become a Living God, I don't like his commercialization of the occult. I don't like that. I agree with Pearls Before Swine. Sorry, I believe that, and I don't like the way he's. But it's not my platform; it's his platform. He can do whatever he wants. But nah. Demons are dumb. Okay. Angels are hyper lawful. They kind of have to be. They have a divine charge and a divine order or station to keep. So you might end up with divine IRS on your ass. Divine IRS? Why? Why would the IRS be on my ass? I pay my taxes. What are you talking about? Sounds like a contractual demon to me. What sounds like a contractual demon? I can't think of what we talked about that would be contractual demon. Wishing one would prove me wrong. Ooh, excuse me. I make demons turn on themselves and each other. The screams from them are funny. Interesting. The Enochian magicians I've known describe angels as psychopaths. Well, that might be the Enochian entities because I would not consider them angels. I don't know what I would like. Notice I said the Enochian entities, not the Enochian angels, because I don't know what to classify them. While there are certain angels, yes, like Uriel, he was contacted by D, and Raphael and things like that. There are angels that D dealt with, but some of them angels or beings, I don't know. Some of them I am wary to classify as angels. So I don't necessarily have an issue with someone classifying the Enochian entities as psychopaths because they very well may be. But yeah, like what was the one? I don't know because they don't have vowels and so I don't even remember. Some TSVL something like that. I don't know. But demon time is up. What you mean? I slay demons 24/7, 365 days a year. Please do not let your salvation slip away because you wanted to play witch on this earth. My salvation slip away. Interesting. So are we supposed to take the Bible as written? Because I do believe that there is that verse that talks about how, once you're in the hand of God, once you're in God's hand, part of his, family and all that, nothing can remove you. So you're saying that that's not true, that salvation can be lost? That's interesting. I thought nothing can remove you from the hand of God, but I guess something can remove you from the hand of God. Interesting. So the Bible's a lie there. So then why, if that's a lie, then I have to ask what else in the Bible would be a lie, and then why I would want to model myself after anything that might be lying to me. But I'll let you answer that question first. The question of what, if you're in the hand of God, nothing can remove you. Because then that would mean that salvation can't be lost. Because I was a Christian, a Protestant Christian, so I'd probably be going to hell anyway. But a Protestant, I was Baptist, which is a form of Protestantism. So I was baptized and received the Eucharist, and declared with my tongue and my mouth that, Jesus Christ died on the cross and raised from the dead on the third day for our sins, and all that good stuff. So I would have received salvation. So unless your Bible's lying, I think I'm good. Kabbalah Magick is a modern approach on the grades of the Golden Dawn, just so you know what it's about. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that. Yes, thank you for letting everyone know it's going to be Golden Dawn, and not traditional like Lurianic Kabbalah or anything like that. People keep asking you about chaos magic. Where are they learning about it? Well, I haven't seen it yet in this. I mean, they do on other lives, yes, but I haven't seen it in this live yet. But they learn about chaos magic through Phil Hine. Well, first let me start where everybody starts with Liber Null and Psychonaut, because those are the only books on chaos. Like, sorry, you guys know I don't like to recommend the mainstream things that everyone is reading, because everyone's reading it. There's other books in the world, guys. So yeah, Liber Null and Psychonaut. They start there. Then you move on to the Phil Hine and the Kenneth Grant and the Gareth Knight and those groups of people. And then if you're smart, you might move on to like the Austin Osman Spare stuff and that sort of thing. But that's where they're learning about it, through those authors. Now, in any sort of modern space, I don't know. I don't know of any creators that talk about chaos magic extensively, like as practitioners. Yeah, so I can only assume that they learn it from the authors. I was a former spiritualist medium for 10 years. You are talking to demons. So, see, this is what I was saying. If you've seen my video that I did on Twitch and then put on my YouTube, and I've also talked about it here too, about former occultists, people who claim to be occultists, and then they convert to Christianity. That's rare. What we find is exactly what this person just said, that they were spiritualists. They were New Agers. These are not people doing any actual occultism. These are people who grabbed the Ouija board, or who, I exist in my love, so Archangel Michael, come talk to me. That's not magic. That's not talking to a spirit. You're not doing anything. Grabbing your Ouija board. Oh, that board that was produced by the Parker brothers. Yeah, the same guys that make Monopoly. That's who your Ouija board is coming from. Unless, okay, maybe you went on Amazon and got the new Ouija board with the foldable plane. Okay, fine. But originally it came from the Parker brothers. Okay, that's who mass produced it first in this country. That's what your Ouija board is coming from. So those guys, the Monopoly guys, you think that they're making magical boards to get you in touch with spirits? That's what you believe? You think that? That's what you believe? You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. You were never talking to anything, let alone a demon. You were not talking to anything. I promise you, if I were to show you a demon, you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. You would not know it. You were not an occultist. You were not contacting any sort of spirits. You were a New Ager who thought you were contacting something. You made claims of contacting something, but I'm pretty sure whenever somebody were to ask you any sort of foundational questions, you would say, do your own research. You wouldn't give anybody any answers. You would just say, oh, everybody has their own way. Everybody has their own thing. Nah. Okay, fine. But see, here we go. I said it in that video. We don't see occultists. We don't find me the grimoire traditionalist who said, I'm done with this, I'm going to Christianity. Find me the trad witch who said, I'm done with this, I'm going to Christianity. You don't. You find the New Agers. You find the paranormal researchers. Those are the people who say, I'm done with this because there's nothing there. They get fed up with meditating and holding crystals on their forehead and gong, sound bowl. Oh. They get tired of that because nothing is happening. They're getting no results. They've been doing the sound bowl for a year, and they look back over their year and nothing has changed. Their life has not gotten measurably better. You did a whole year of sound bowl healing and you got nothing out of it. So yeah, they leave. They leave. And they go back to the safety of the religion of their parents. Yes. Yes, if you were a spirit, I would too if I was a spiritualist medium. Because you're not, nothing is happening. You're not getting results on anything. So yeah, you're going to go back to something where that has some sort of power. Sure. But I don't know of any actual occultist, somebody who was really in the shits and was like, you know what, guys? I'm done with this. Keep the demons, keep the angels, keep the spirits. I got God on my side. I've not seen that. I've not seen that. So, nice try. Nice try. I know you're not sitting here ready to give blanks a different name. No, but unless you're trying to like get me banned on purpose, you should know that certain keywords on TikTok are not to be accepted or said. And I'm not going to be saying certain words so that way I get flagged and the algorithm bots start listening to me and trying to pick out things that they can ban me for. So no, I will not be saying the P word. I will be using alternate words to describe the same meaning so people know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say the P word. Just like I didn't say Jepstein Ephrai, his actual name. I said that because the bots don't know that. They know his name. They don't know Jepstein Ephrai. So I had to say that. I won't say a certain religious name because those are the people who get offended the most. Even though I take major dumps and shits all over the New Age, all over the paranormal researchers, like I'm doing right now, they don't ever report me. They don't ever try to silence me. It's only members of a certain religion. And it's the people who come in here saying that I'm, this is the devil worship and all that. They're the ones who get so upset and so butthurt. So I can't even say the name of their religion. So it's not just the P word. Don't make it seem like I'm just, trying to protect the P's out here. I don't want to get banned, and certain words, yeah, I'm not going to be saying. So, and that's one of them. So yeah, you're not going to get me banned. So. Then don't talk about stuff that would get him kicked off. But that's what you just did. You were talking about the P's. I'm pretty sure that's not allowed to be talked about. Don't look up Gary Webb. You might get sniped for that too. I think that name sounds familiar. When Yeshua comes back, I pray you have the sense to turn to him. I would urge you to look into Grimoire tradition. If you want me to do something, let's make it fair. I want you to do something. So I'll turn to Yeshua if you go study Grimoire tradition. Fair? That's fair. You want something from me, like that's how business works, right? You want a service, you gotta pay money. You want a product, you gotta pay money, or else it's theft, right? You got to give something to get something, right? That's right? Or else are you just a taker? You just take things from people. No? Okay. You want something from me? Fine. I'll turn to Jesus Christ. You study Grimoire tradition. I think we know how this is going to end up. You're not going to study it, so I'm not going to turn to Christ. So that's how this has to work. You want something from me? I want something from you. Okay? I have a good question. How can you find other people that practice occultism? The best way is like Facebook groups or like meetups.com or something like that. You can use that. Forums, Reddit, stuff like that. You can find people on there. There used to, it still exists. It's still around. I still have a profile, but it's not active. The owner kind of left it in the dust a year or so ago. He said he was going to focus on another business, but he left it running. He still pays the hosting and the domain, and people still post on there every now and then. But there was this occult social media site called Hyro. I could show you since I still have an account. There we go. It's Hyro. Make sure I'm still logged in. Will it let me? Okay, no, I gotta unplug from the flip camera. There we go. So right there, you can see it says Hyro, the Occult Social Club. And it's me. That's me. That's my same, avatars I have for here. But yeah, it's like it was just like a little, like a Facebook, but specifically for the occult. This is like a feed here. You scroll across the feed. This was probably December 2021, not 2022, but December 2021. They were doing Kitchen Magic. They had a book of the month. Their Discord, their tip. That's just a tip jar. Their guidelines, blah blah blah. You can go over here to Discovery, and it'll like bring up a bunch of topics that you can look into: the Grand Manifestation, host angels and angel work. There's the Sunday morning meditation, Tuesday evening meditation, Thursday evening meditation. These are the people. These are the members that live near me. So, like, if you want to find, this would be a good resource. These are the people that live near me. And then, like, it lets you, so near you, newest, host online now. And it does let you put in your location. So these are the people that are closest to me. So this could be a good way to find interested parties of your practice and your belief system. But it's not really active anymore. Since Brandon, the founder, kind of was like, I've got a real business to run, so that actually makes me money. This is free, so and the ad money probably isn't worth it. He probably only makes a couple $100 a month off the ad money, so he's probably like, I need to make some real money. So. All right, we're at 11:35, so I'm going to be going momentarily. We would have been on here for 2 hours, but let me just spells of magic. Why is why I thought occultism was bull when I was younger. I don't blame you, man. I don't blame anybody who's visited spellsofmagic.com and then they were like, okay, magic is bullshit, I'm out of here. I do not blame you. I don't blame you one bit. If that was like your introduction to magic and then you were like, okay, something's wrong here. I don't blame you at all. Forums of Facebook. Yes, thank you, Modern Magecraft. Thank you. That's why it's good that you guys talk to each other in the chat, because you can answer questions before I get there. I thought white sage was a closed thing. It's not closed, but the Native Americans get offended and very upset because it's endangered, from what I understand. And so they don't, since it's sacred to them, and the New Age has commercialized it. I guess they're running out or something like that, and they don't want there to become a shortage or anything like that for their own ceremonies and people who are truly interested in using sage for what it is used for. So that would be the issue there. Closed and open systems come into play with either license or initiation or bloodline. Anything outside of that would not be closed. They're only closed to members who are not either initiated, so it's closed until you join the club, or it's closed because you're not part of the blood, so you can never join. But yeah, that's what makes something open or closed. All right. Are you saying I'm not of God's creation, not made in the image of Him? Huh? When did I actually specifically said the opposite. It was a while ago, so I doubt that you're referring to that, but I don't recall ever saying that we're not made. I actually, when someone had asked about working with angels and demons, I was talking about how you should be dual. You should work with both, not just one. And the reason is because you are made in the image of God. You are an emanation of God, and if God's will be done, by extension, if we are emanations of God, our will be done, whether that will is good or evil. I think I literally said the exact opposite of what you just said. So, no. Your works have bought you nothing. What do you mean? They bought me nothing. They bought me nothing in the Christian sense. Sure, they've not bought me like salvation from hell or everlasting grace or any of that. But I've certainly gotten tangible things, measurable things through my work or my occult work is what I'm assuming you're referring to. So. Nah, host, I think that's a bad take. Sound healing and whatnot provides soul substance. Well, I don't agree. For honestly, most of these new age practices I think are only good for like meditation. If you're trying to meditate, sure, gong your bowls and play your angel music. Go ahead and play it all, whatever, fine. But that doesn't make you spiritual, and it really does nothing for you spiritually. Sure, having a bad day from work, arguing with your boss, lost a client, whatever, lost a few $1,000,000 this year. Okay, go home, put out the yoga mat, meditate, gong your sound bowls. Okay, fine. Sure, it might help you calm down and relax for the night. Okay, fine. But it doesn't do anything for you spiritually. It's not going to get you any closer to any sort of initiatic whatever. It's not going to help you ascend the spheres. It's not going to help you walk the Kabbalistic tree. It's not going to help you ascend any of the shamanic ladders. It's not going to get you closer to God or any actual spiritual goal. That is my issue with the New Age and their practices. They take things that are temporary and try to sell them as permanent solutions. They try to take aspirin. They try to take this Aleve right here and say, this is going to cure your cancer. This doesn't just help with your back pain. Oh, no. Forget the back pain. This is going to cure your cancer. That's the equivalent of what the New Age does with their watered down practices. And no. So, I'm sorry, I do not believe that sound bowl healing, and I've seen no evidence that sound bowl healing does anything for anybody in a spiritual sense. Sure, might help you calm down, might help you get into the Zen mode so it's easier to focus and meditate and all that stuff. Sure. But it does nothing for any sort of actual spiritual attainment. Sorry. If there is evidence that it has brought someone closer to God, please show me this so I can contact this person, figure out exactly what they did with their sound bowls. Because I promise you it's not just gong, the woo. I'm sure it wasn't just that. I'm sure they did a lot more. But I would like to speak to this person, find out their actual methodology so I can repeat it. Because that's what occultism is about, repeatability. We sat here and we read from Shamanic Kabbalah, the importance of having a foundation, a system that you can trace back to something that's repeatable. We read that. So that's how I approach my systems. So I would like to talk to that person and find out what they did with their sound bowl to help them get closer to God or to ascend the spheres or to be initiated into whatever, to receive the mysteries. I would like to know what they did because I would like to repeat it too. Because if it's that easy, all I got to do is just woo, and I'm one with God now. Then by God, all these books and all these other, throw them out the window. Just go buy your $20 sound bowl and call it a day. I'd like to talk to that person. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude, but this pseudo spiritualness of just because it feels good and I feel good when I do it, it must be good. I implore you to talk to an addict. Talk to an addict and ask them if that's the right way to look at things. Because I promise you, when they used to engage in their addiction, they felt good. Feelings are not everything, guys. Just because something feels good or it sounds good doesn't mean that it is good. Doesn't mean that it's beneficial. Just because something helps you short term doesn't mean it's good for the long haul. That's my whole point here. So, the new agey stuff is practice without substance. Yes, I do agree with that. It's practice without substance. And if, yes, I don't want to keep taking poops on, I do it enough. So also, I wouldn't say minor attracted person, as that's probably are also flagged. Yeah, see, I don't like that's another thing. I don't mean to get conspiratorial, but how can we have conversations if like everything is flagged and oh shh, you can't talk, they'll get offended. So what? We need to talk about certain things. Maybe if they talked about it, they wouldn't get so offended. Maybe we need to have conversations about certain things so people don't get so offended. Maybe that's what people need to do. Talk about things. Don't shh, nope, can't say it. That group will get offended, or these people don't like that word. So, like, oh God, it's so ridiculous. Mega Church FBC Jax is forcing members to sign a homophobic contract to keep membership. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. I don't even have. That's insane. That's insane. And even if you didn't mean it, like even if you like. Just sign it, and it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but if you had a son or a daughter that was LGBT and they found out that you signed it, or you had a sister or a brother and they found out that you signed it just so you can stay a member of that church, they would look at you different. Even if you go, oh well, I did it just so I could stay. I don't really mean it. They'll be like, so rather than finding another church or something else, you decided to like publicly declare that you're against home, but it's not real. But you publicly declared it, right? Like, so, yeah, that's terrible, and that's wow. Wow, it's horrible. Like, how can you force thousands of people to sign this, or they can't? Yeah, I don't get it. But I mean, I have no right to tell a church how to run their business, but I mean, that's a little. That's a little hateful. There's no hate like Christian love. So, and I shouldn't have said that because I said the name of the religion. Now I'm gonna get kicked off the air for a week. I'm gonna just get kicked off, and you guys are not gonna know what happened. But it's because I got banned because I said the C word. God told me time is running out. Seek a relationship with Jesus Christ while you have time, people. God told you, huh? You're the special one, right? You're the prophet. Ay. I didn't mean that as someone will be offended more than like TikTok doesn't like the phrase. Oh yeah, no, yeah. I get what like you meant, but it's just crazy that like we can't have conversations about anything really because people get offended. TikTok will flag it. It's just crazy that we have to censor ourselves. But that's why you guys got to follow me over on Twitch so I can say whatever I want because I started to make content over there. Follow me on YouTube. My names are the same all across. I don't have any alternate names. So the Mystical Rebel all across YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, my website. It's all the Mystical Rebel. All that is African spirituality that the Western world deemed devilish because they don't understand. Yeah. Anything that is that people don't understand, they tend to demonize. So let me close out of this since no one's using Hyro anymore. Let me shut this down. Shut her down. I am the prophet. The universe spoke to me. It speaks to everyone, but exactly, it speaks to everyone. Either we're all special or no one is special. I don't like this. God spoke to me. So he spoke to you, but he didn't speak to anybody else. And he spoke to you, and you don't have you don't have any real following. You don't have any, and I don't say that in a mean way. I say that to say that that's like God chose that like that's a bad marketing job. Like, and I'm in marketing. Like I'm literally in channel side marketing. We go with the people who have the most pull. You go with the people who have the most influence, not you, and not me. I don't have. If God was going to talk to someone, he should be talking to like Kim Kardashian or like Charlie D'Amelio or something like that. Not us. He should be talking to someone who can actually cause some change in the world. So, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I have no clue why Caesar are against magic when the Bible names when the biblical names use dowsing to find water. Yeah, magic is all over the Bible. It's all over the Bible. There's magic everywhere in the Bible. The Bible itself is used in magic. The Bible itself, God himself uses, you know what? We don't got to get into that. Read a book called Anathema Maranatha by Martin Duffy. And that'll help explain a lot of things. Anathema Maranatha. That title is actually from the Bible. 1 Corinthians 3:15, I think. I think it's 1 Corinthians 3:15, where it says, where it talks about people who don't love God. Let them be anathema, maranatha. I think it's 1 Corinthians 3:15. But I don't feel like, and I just shut down my laptop, so I don't feel like. But I believe that that's what it is. Hold on, let me Okay, yes, it is. It is. Okay, so I was right. But yes, the Bible is full of magic, especially dark magic, magic that the seas would condemn. For example, the curse that God made for the serpent in Genesis 3:14, the curse that God gave to Eve for eating, the curse that God gave the ground after Adam ate, the curse that God gave to Cain for killing Abel, the curse that God pledged to Abram, to anyone that would curse Abram, God would curse them. The curse in Proverbs 3:33, that God gave to curse all those who are wicked. Malachi 2:2, the pledge that God gave to curse those who do not honor the Lord's name and to curse their blessings. Malachi 3:6 through 10, cursing Israel for not paying tithes and offerings. Deuteronomy 28:15, where God, where it's a curse for those who disobey God, and it even goes into the actual consequences, such as cursing the sinner's basket. So like their basket that they carry around with food and herbs and stuff in, and their kneading bowl, cursing their offspring, or providing a generational curse, cursing their cattle offspring, cursing everything they do to be unsuccessful until they are destroyed and ruined, bringing disease upon them until they perish, inflicting them with madness and confusion, causing them to be defeated before their enemies, and causing their loved ones to be essayed. Wow, loving God, huh? Let's keep going. The curse that is mentioned in Matthew 11:20 through 24 for that God gave to the cities of Chorazin, Bethsaida, and Capernaum for rejecting him and not repenting. And that's also retold again in Luke 10:10 through 15. The fig tree, he cursed a fig tree, a tree, because it was barren. The tree produced no fruit. So it was like, hey, you look cursed, so I'm just going to curse you. Great. And then it withered and died. Wonderful. Great. Oh, okay. So that's the actual curse that he said. Go, throw yourself into the sea, and does not doubt in their heart, but believes what they say will happen. Okay, so that's the curse that he said. Okay, so yeah, we can keep going, but Anathema Maranatha by Martin Duffy. Check this out. Anathema Maranatha. You can find it on Amazon, about $30. $30 to expand your mind. Open your mind. Open. You obviously don't understand the Bible at all. Maybe you're right. But maybe you're wrong. Who knows? Bruh worships demons. When did I ever say I worship demons? You obviously just got here and don't know anything about anything, but I didn't expect you to still be live. What are we talking about? Well, I'm actually about to go. I was supposed to go a half hour ago. I was like, guys, it's 11:30. I'm about to get out of here. And you, as always, I end up answering more and more questions. But so La Santa Muerte is a demon. She's not a demon. She's holy death. I guess in your religion she would be the angel of death. But sure. Call the creation of God a demon. Sure, that's fine. So you're a former Satanist, so Satanism has nothing to do with Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte is a folk saint from the African diaspora religions found in South America, mainly Mexico and Brazil. Nothing to do with Satanism. So just because you're a former Satanist doesn't mean that you know anything about Santa Muerte. Thank you. Know things that I shouldn't. Not at all. That's not the creation of God. God created everything according to Christians and Islam and Judaism. So that doesn't make any sense. Unless you're saying that there's another deity out there other than God that can generate. I thought creation. See, because you guys say that the devil can't create. He can only mock. He can only make fun of. He can only do a parody of. But if God didn't create Santa Muerte, that would either mean she created herself, which would equate her to God because she has the power of generation, or she was created by another deity that would be equated to God. So your Bible's lying. There's something's got to add up here. So thank you, but no thank you. But yeah, Saint Nicholas. He just did. Yeah, I did, but he's not listening. Yeah, the double's an illusionist. He's more like Loki. What do you mean? Who's more like Loki? Oh, you mean Santa Muerte? Really? More like Loki? Men started worshiping Santa Muerte. She's a demon. So you think do you not know how debates work? You think that's a logical response? Listen to what you just said. So your reasoning for Santa Muerte being a demon is because men worshipped her. Men worship the Christian God. Do you see how that logic doesn't follow? Just because something is worshipped doesn't mean it's a demon. Can you give an actual explanation? You can't. You're going to keep just going around in circles and just saying, circular reasoning things. Oh, I'm a Christian. I'm a former Satanist. This, and that. That's not an answer. How is Santa Muerte a demon? And also, you skipped over the part about she's not created by God. Then that doesn't make any sense. Who created her then? I thought only God has the power to create according to your religion's holy book. If the power of creation and generation is only reserved to God, that would mean God created Santa Muerte. So at this point, you either need to admit the mistake and backtrack or come up with a logical reason for how another deity created Santa Muerte or Santa Muerte self-generated. And if she's self-generated, if she is begotten of herself, that sounds a lot like the Christian God. So, because in the beginning was what? Was the Word or the Logos, and the Logos was God and was with God. So, self-generation is only an attribute of God. So if Santa Muerte was not created by God, she was either created by someone else or herself. So, thank you. Man and woman was created before Adam. You mean like gender? Yeah, he also created evil too. It's sad that there are so many Christian Magics, but they choose ignorance. Yeah. He knows more about some people's own religions more than they do. Well, only certain ones. I'm not like a religious expert or anything like that. I'm not out here, schooling the Buddhists on Buddhism or anything like that. It's only the C's, and it's only the modern day reformist C's. I could never put an Orthodox person in their place. They are very, very, very knowledgeable of church history, patristic history, the church fathers. They're very, 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 very knowledgeable on the history of their own religion and how things came to be. They have the theological answers, the cosmological answers, the theogonical answers. Yeah, that's the right word for theogony, right? The theogonical, right? Theogonical, not theology, theogony. So I think that would be the theogonical. Yeah. They do all that. It's the modern day ones, the modern day C's that don't. Protestants and the Methodists and the Baptists and all that. So, which I'm betting that this person is, as most Christians who come in the chat are. But God said he created light and darkness. He made peace and create evil. Exactly. But they're supposed to know these things, but they don't. I don't know. I don't know what they want to do. The universe was the word. I never understood how free will could exist with an all-knowing God. Yeah, I have issues with that too. I don't really have an answer for that. I have issues with all-knowing but free will. Theogenistic. Okay, thank you. The high-ups in the Catholic Church are magicians. They want you to believe it's evil. Exactly, yes. Most of these grimoires are written in their prose. I'm not going to say I won't accuse all grimoires of being written by Catholic magicians, but take a look at pseudo Cardinal Benno, and the only reason he's considered, well, he's dead now. This is centuries ago, but the only reason he was considered a pseudo Cardinal Benno or a pseudo cardinal, geez, is because he wrote this book. And so they excommunicated him because of the book. But before writing the book, he was a regular cardinal with all the honors and prestige thereof. But Pseudo Cardinal Benno's Wizard Popes of the 11th century, where he names no less than 10, 12 different popes and bishops who were accused, and he gives details of witchcraft and occultism. And not like the witch trials witchcraft, like, oh, I don't like you, you slept with my husband last year, so I'm gonna call you a witch now. Like, no, like legitimate occultism. Like, he cites evidence, and now whether or not you believe him is up to you, because they didn't have video record back then, and they didn't have audio, you know, and all that. So, but yeah, check that out for a lot of Catholic magical things. So, the universe was not the word. The universe was made by the word. Can you catch me up? I jumped into the situation without knowing what's going on. Well, I'm just doing a Q&A. We're not really talking about anything specific. Pope Honorius. Yes, the real Pope, because there's two books that are considered the Grimoire Pope Honorius. One is not by the actual Honorius. The other is considered to be by the Honorius. So yes, correct. The cross was a symbol of worship long before Christ. The Babylonians used to worship Tammuz, the sun god. I thought Shamash was the sun god. I'm not super familiar. I do have Rod and Ring, which is about Mesopotamian or Babylonian religion, but I'm only like at the beginning stages of that book. I haven't really gotten too far into it. But Rod and Ring here, which is about Mesopotamian Babylonian religion and ritual magic. But I feel like Shamash was the sun god, right? I mean, not that a culture can't have more than one sun god, but I feel like Shamash was the sun god. Do we go to the astral realm every night when we sleep? If you dream, yeah. If you don't dream, then no. But if you're dreaming, then yes. Which one is not by Honorius? I have the Sworn book. So there's the Sworn book of Pope Honorius, and then there's the Grimoire of Pope Honorius. I believe the Sworn book is the valid one, but I'd have to double check. Anything by John D. What do you mean? Like anything but is not good or is bad, or what do you mean? I don't mind John D. I just think that the Enochian entities are a little intense. Not a little, very. But yeah. Okay. I was supposed to go a half hour ago, guys. It's now after midnight. So I'm going to go. I was supposed to go a half hour ago. But thank you. I really do enjoy these conversations. Hence, I stayed a half hour later than I was supposed to. You guys always have excellent questions, great questions. Astral projection can be scary at first. Yeah, if you're not expecting it, especially the sensations that you might get when it's happening, yeah, you could jolt yourself back into you'll jolt yourself back into your body, and then you'll be like, holy crap. But if you can get over that hump, then you'll shoot right out, just like a nice shot of DMT. You'll shoot right over, well, the good DMT. You'll shoot right over that hump, and then you'll be talking to the clockwork elves. Not really. I mean, if you do DMT, yes. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to go. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Like, the numbers stayed consistent between 38 and 42 for the entire 2 hours. So thank you guys. That means a lot to me, that like the vast majority of you stayed to like hang out and like learn and ask questions and like really get into this shit. So I appreciate it. What do I want to say? Oh, yeah. Follow me on all my other socials, Twitch, YouTube, my website. The name is the same, The Mystical Rebel. So follow me there. But yeah, I'm going to go. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. If I don't see you guys tomorrow or whatever, enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'll check out YouTube. Yes, please do. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll see you all.